Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can I please have your attention?
Now it's showtime. Are you ready? Are you ready for start time?
Let's find out. Ready? Let's go.
What's the matter? Don't you like me?
This is Jeopardy!
Let's see what happens in this first round of play with these categories. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
Mickey for 1,000.
You knew we'd ask for the name of this singer, actress, choreographer who told Mickey how fine he was. Terry?
Who is Toni Basil? Who is Toni Basil? Who is Toni Basil?
What's up, Facebook Live and YouTube? It's yours truly, DJ R.O.B. with another episode of Taking It Back. And like I always say, we're going to take it back like an 8-track and a Cadillac. And this next guest, we go back, but she definitely goes back. Man, this woman has many talents, and we're going to talk about them. We're going to go back, and we're going to talk about what she's doing now. I mean, she is Grammy and Emmy nominated and multiple award-winning actress, choreographer, recording artist. As a matter of fact, her single, which everybody knows and we're going to talk about, we're celebrating the 39th anniversary of her platinum single reaching #1 on the Billboard chart. That's right, #1, December 11th, 1982. Her single, we're going to talk about it, went #1. So we're celebrating that anniversary and we're celebrating her career today. So without further ado, my special guest on Taking It Back, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the incomparable, the legendary, the talented Toni Basil.
Thank you, Rob. Wow. That montage you put together of me, that was so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh gosh, thank you.
Fabulous.
You have so much career highlights. That montage could have been 2 hours.
Well, let me ask you. You know, I lived in Vegas. So where are you sitting right now in Vegas? Henderson, Sunland, where are you?
I am in a new area called Mountain's Edge, which is southwest Las Vegas. They have Mountain's Edge, Southern Islands.
Is that towards Henderson's? Charleston?
No, it's more south, like when you're going to LA. It's like the last piece when you leave to go to LA.
So I lived just above Maryland Parkway.
They call that old Las Vegas, yeah.
Very old Las Vegas. I love that. You know, when I was doing Caesar's Palace with Bet in 2008 to 2010, I said, I want to be housed in old Las Vegas. You know, yeah, just behind Maryland Parkway. Went to Las Vegas High. Everything was close by. Yep. Everything. And now it's an art school, right? It's a performing arts school.
Yes, which is great. The building has been named like a historical building here in Las Vegas, which is awesome.
Really? Nice. How nice. Yeah.
So your time here in Vegas, obviously you're born from entertainers and your father worked here. So that's how you probably ended up in Vegas, right?
Yeah. Dad was the orchestra leader at the Sahara Hotel. And before that, he was the orchestra leader from 1947-ish to 1957 at the Chicago Theater in Chicago. And every weekend, like I did in Vegas, I would go down to the theater, stand on the side of the stage, and watch the acts. And I mean, do you realize how many people I saw if I was doing that for 10 years every weekend?
Yeah,
So
that's lucky.
I saw from, yes, from Josephine Baker to um, the Will Maston Trio with little Sammy Davis Jr. before he became and there's my dad with
Louis, is
Louis
that Louis
Prima.
Prima?
That's Louis Prima, and see, that's the big room. So they're in the big room right now. That's where my dad was the orchestra leader. Louis Prima played the lounge. Louis Prima, Keely Smith, Sam Butera, and the Witnesses, Freddie Bell and the Bellboys, the Treniers. Oh my God, that lounge was fantastic. So when the people came out of the main room after seeing Buddy Hackett or Donald O'Connor, um, they went right in, and bam, what was hitting them in the face was Louis Prima and Keely Smith, because you didn't have to pay to see that. You could just see that. So that Sahara Hotel, the lounge, was so spectacular. I mean, so spectacular. The other fantastic lounge in the early 60s was what Ronnie Lewis did in the lounge with these dancers. Vegas Bear, I can't remember the name. He's one of my favorite choreographers. That he did with dancers in that lounge. And then, oh my God, the Sands Lounge that had
That's where you
Shecky
had
Green,
your Sinatras and
Sinatra, the Rat Pack played
Right.
the Sands. So they had Shecky Green, and that lounge was fantastic. But it just wasn't the big rooms. It was the lounges that were so spectacular also. And I mean, I just got to see, I came to LA armed with so much information. And I went to ballet class my whole life, head cheerleader at Las Vegas High. So I was armed and dangerous when I finally moved to LA.
And when's the last time you were in Vegas?
Um
A couple of years ago with Bette
well, you know
Midler?
what? No. Well, I was there a lot when Bette was, at Caesar's Palace. Also, we went to Vegas to see, Bette and I went to see Michael Jackson's show. Also, but Hip Hop International. When I saw, last time I saw you in person, when Hip Hop International was doing what, at the Red Rock?
It was at the Red Rock, correct? Yeah.
It was at the
I was
Red
with
Rock.
Hugo.
Yeah, they did it, and you know what? That was my favorite place for Hip Hop International. Actually, that's where they awarded me with the Living Legend of Hip Hop Award. Was
Right,
in
2018.
2009.
Well, I have the Hip Hop International Living Legend Award said 2018.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Was Hip Hop International doing something way back in 2009?
Oh no, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right, because I was also a judge on So You Think You Can Dance at the same time. Yeah, that's right. I'm dyslexic, so numbers mean nothing to me.
I know the dates. It gets all.
Age means nothing to me. It just goes like that.
I just wanted to see what you thought about how the Strip has changed from the last time you were in Vegas to back in the 60s.
Wow.
Drastic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the 60s, when we were there, you could not walk from hotel to hotel. Now you walk the Strip. Now there's, there's trains that run above the Strip that you can get to. No, you had to drive from the dunes to the sands. It was desert in between the hotels. Absolutely desert.
Now there's no space.
Now it's just like it looks like Lego toys.
Yeah.
The way it's stacked, and it's absolutely, oh my God. Well, so
I
I
love what you did there, that you showed up. You showed up at the 50-year reunion.
Oh,
your 50-year reunion with those cheerleaders.
Absolutely. I'm still
so
in
awesome.
contact. I'm still in contact with all the kids that we hung out with in Vegas, because Vegas High at that time was a very tight community, and we never lost connection with each other. I still talk to all my friends through either Facebook or on the phone. I loved high school. I loved Las Vegas High. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved the kids. I loved everything.
And so you did you got the acting bug, and I know you moved to L.A. and you got to be in these big movies in the late 60s and the early 70s, and we could talk about them for hours, but I know you don't have time, but I'm going to read off a list because it's unbelievable. Viva Las Vegas, iconic Elvis movie. I mean, you can't live in Vegas without watching Viva Las Vegas. And the scene that I always remember is the girl in the red dress when he's singing the words and you're doing that dance. That's the most iconic scene in the movie. You stole the show from Anne Margaret.
Well, not exactly, but I was the assistant choreographer for David Winters, and David and I did the Tammy Show, so many movies, a Shindig. And when he moved to New York to choreograph Hullabaloo, I was going to go to New York with him. But then I started getting requests to choreograph in Los Angeles because he was no longer there. And that's how I jumped from an assistant to a main choreographer.
And you had the Pajama Party movie, Robin and the Seven Hoods, Breakaway, Easy Rider, which was a huge movie.
Village of the Giants.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check this out.
I got to get that dress out now. I like that. That dress looks good on camera.
There you go.
Yep. I got it. I have all the clothes that I ever performed in. I have the cheerleader outfits. I have the coat and the dress that I wore in Easy Rider. I don't have the Charleston outfit because, that goes back to wardrobe, but I have everything. I have all my locker clothes in my closet. I have everything. I kind of hoard my wardrobe. Oh,
so
look at that.
People are going to not realize all the involvement that you had with these celebrities, whether you were directing them for choreography or as an actual actress, but all these movies. So this is just a little clip of some of your scenes, the Pajama Party movie where you steal the show on the beach. But I wish we had more time, but
I'm glad I wore that red bikini. I'm glad I was wearing that red bikini then. Hey,
look good in red.
Talk about trying to spin in the sand. Oh my goodness. Dancing in the sand was no easy, this wasn't too easy to do. But we looked, we were so damn young and so happy to be dancing that you felt no pain.
There she is, and the girl in the red dress doing the dog.
Yep, there it is.
So awesome. That footage is nostalgic.
And I know Sharon. I see Sharon all the time, the girl that just was in the next clip. Oh, and you know who got me that film was the famous Jack Nietzsche, who was the assistant originally to Phil Spector. And Jack, who was the orchestra, who really booked the acts for the Tammy Show and was an incredible musical director, he wrote the music for this film. And he wanted to do like a musical number. And he said, get this girl and she'll do a solo. And they gave me a part. And this was because of Jack Nietzsche. So I have Jack to really thank for this. It's so interesting how things happen, how things fall together. I'm in this film because I did something that Jack was the orchestra leader, a half a year before. Mm-hmm. Things like how they come about is so interesting.
And you'd mentioned the Tammy Show, which was a cool teen, kind of before the American Bandstand type of thing. And I've seen one of your interviews where you got to see all these shows, all these acts. And when you seen James Brown and his funk style of dancing, it kind of changed your world as a dancer choreographer.
Absolutely. In that little clip you just showed before, I started to try to do James Brown steps and do the splits. I started to mix my jazz and at the time my 60s go-go, because James Brown was not doing, the twist or the jerk. James Brown, man, was doing his own thing. That little step he was doing came out of the mashed potatoes. Mm-hmm. But he took the mashed potatoes and he really made it his own. And that when I laid eyes on him at the rehearsal, doing that, my whole life changed. My dancing changed. Everything took another leap, you know?
But that's a huge transition because your career, we go into the 70s. Of course, you're still doing the choreography, directing for American Graffiti and the R.O.B.s and David Bowie, his 1974 tour. I got all the notes here and we could discuss it, but talking about how you transition with the street dancing, I need the audience to know that yes, she's a acclaimed actress, and yes, she's a renowned choreographer, and she's jazz and she's bebop. You guys, Toni Basil is also hip hop. She's hip hop because she founded the Lockers. Now in mid 1970s, that was the birth of hip hop too. And
early. So
yeah,
I saw Don Campbell in 1970 before there was Soul
Wow.
Train. Somebody told me, Lamont Peterson, who eventually became a very well-known dancer on Soul Train, said, there's this guy that's doing this new dance called the Campbell Lock. And I go, well, let's find him. He said, well, he said, Lamont was gay. He said, I'm gay. I go to the gay clubs. Don's straight. He goes to the straight clubs. He said, we'll have to figure out the day and the time. Cause as a club person, you got to know the day that people show up. If it's not on Thursday, it might be Friday. You kind of got to know the network. And man, I saw Don blow into Osco's one night. And Lamont went to say, that's Don Campbell. And I had never seen anything like it in my life. And he didn't even have to tell me. It was as startling as when I saw James Brown do his steps. It was the next leap. It was the next leap. And then, I don't know, about half a year after that, Lamont gave me a call. I always hung out with Lamont. Hey, we're all on Soul Train. We go to a club called the Citadel after we shoot. They shot Soul Train on Sunset Boulevard. They could walk down to this club that they call the Citadel after. And man, I got my stuff together. I was living in Topanga Canyon at the time, which is like a 40-minute drive down there. And I met Don and all the Soul Train dancers that night. And that was the next leap. Mm-hmm. That was the next leap. And at that time, we just, as street dancers, I mean, I was earning a living choreographing, television and things like that. But at the time, as far as street goes, there was really no way to make a living at your art. So, we'd go to clubs and do dance contests. And there was no partners. There was solos. You'd get out, you'd dance. You tell the DJ, play rock steady. You dance. And then we'd all stand in a line and they'd put their hands over our heads. We'd get applause. Whoever got the most applause got $50. And that was how they earned a living at that time because nobody made money on Soul Train. And
but
eventually,
you were an integral part of showing them that why don't we get on some real shows and make this more of a performance thing?
I had the opportunity. The Dick Clark company called me and said, that's Saturday Night Live that you're seeing.
Yep.
The Dick Clark company called me and it said, remember that guy, Don Campbell, you were always talking about? Because I was choreographing other things for Dick. I said, yeah. He said, there are more of them because we're doing the Roberta Flack special and we need a group. And I went, and I knew at that moment when he said, we need a group of people, there it was. And there we are now. That was, probably 2 years after we started on, we did the Roberta Flack in 1973. I think Soul Train was 74, 75. But yeah, we went, we got to. Yeah.
Me and my sisters
the beginning.
On Saturday morning, we couldn't wait to watch Soul Train. But
me either.
I was waiting for the Soul Train line with the people coming and locking and the guy doing the robot. And of course, Don Cornelius would always bring you guys out and announce the lockers. And that was my favorite part of the show. And I'm sure a lot of other street dancers couldn't wait for that.
I think the world couldn't wait for that. I think that, you would tune in for Billy Preston, you would tune in for James Brown, but nobody had ever seen street dancers of that quality. This was not just kids socially dancing. This was art. This was an art form. And I think that's what the Lockers, being on these iconic shows, you know, we were on Johnny Carson, we were on Saturday Night Live. It really showed the television audience that street dance was a viable art form. And it also gave all the kids that knew they had talent, but didn't know, what am I going to do with this? And the moms would say, what are you going to these clubs for? You're never going to be able to do anything with this. You know, this is years before cell phones. This is years before battles, years before anything. So it really, really, really made a difference. It just changed everything. It changed the face of dance. It
and
really
in your
did.
creative mind, you went another level and you took Swan Lake, which is a popular ballet production, and you said, let me integrate street dancing with Swan Lake. And you got an Emmy nomination for that, which was awesome. You got all your street dancers and they dance with the ballerinas, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it was with 4 classical ballerinas to Tchaikovsky, and the dancers were 2 of the Electric Boogaloo, Skeeter Rabbit and Poppin' Pete, and the other 2 dancers, Jazzy J and Terry Bixler, which eventually became Janet's dancers. And they were, you know, absolutely extraordinary. And, you know, we merged. I studied ballet. I knew street. And I went, you know what, this is of equal art form. So that was the next step, to show an audience, hey, not only was it, you know, a viable art form, but it was equal to the classics. Absolutely equal to the classics.
Now, all these nostalgic videos, you guys, you can go to tonibasil.net, because she's got an archive. I mean, a museum of videos of all of her accolades and accomplishments, and the creative things that she's done.
Also, the YouTube channel probably even has more. It's
the YouTube channel too.
Toni Basil's house, called Toni Basil's house, and there's a lot of stuff. There's stuff that we can't, as you know, put up on Facebook or even on YouTube, because a lot of stuff gets flagged. It either gets flagged.
I got the audio on a lot of this off, just so we can talk about what we're seeing, which is fine.
Yeah, it either gets flagged because of the music, or because NBC doesn't let Saturday Night Live doesn't let anything on. But I think yesterday, with the anniversary of Mickey, we put out the video of Mickey, and it got flagged. And we had to contest. Yeah, it got flagged, but we contested
with your remastered version.
Yes, but Kelly, what did it take to 10 minutes, 15 minutes? So my assistant contested it, and with 15 minutes, it was back on. But then what I did in the meantime is, just in case it was going to take a day to get it back on, I put out the Mickey that I did with Shabadoo, Spaz Attack, and a punk band that I did on my first BBC special. And that is the Mickey that Europe saw, that made Mickey go to #1. Not the cheerleaders. Interestingly enough, it was Shabadoo, Spaz, and you can see that on my
I watched that the other day. And what's funny about this Swan Lake thing is, at first the audience saw the traditional ballet, and then when they seen the Lockers do those first jiggy jiggies, they laughed and they thought it was a joke. But then as they continue watching it, they go, wow, these 2 art forms merging together, and they appreciate it. And of course, I appreciate it as a dancer. And
well, we can dance to anything that's got a beat, and that section of Swan Lake is bum 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 da dum 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 bum 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 da dum dum bum 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 bum. So there's all the beats we need.
That's right.
So there we go. Yeah.
So you're one of the first, I would say, that would take 2 different facets of dance and merge them for the public to consume like that. So
yeah, well, that was in 80. That was in 89. But actually, Lauren Michaels, Saturday Night Live, let me do a film with 4 of the Lockers and 4 classical ballerinas. That we did a film where they it was like we froze the camera, and you saw the ballerinas, and then the Lockers replaced them. We did a freeze frame. We did a film. I did a film with Gary Weiss. I brought the idea to Lauren when actually I was performing Wham Rebop on his show because I performed as a singer also on Saturday Night Live. And once again, as I keep saying, you plant a seed. And I gave Lauren this idea. And I'm telling you, it had to have been a good year and a half later. Lauren calls me, says, you know that idea. You want to come to New York or have Gary Weiss come out to LA, and do you want to shoot a film of your idea? And I went, yeah. And so it's that planting that seed. I think so many kids, singers, dancers, they expect things to happen immediately. And then they get disheartened when it doesn't happen in that moment. But what you've got to do is plant the seeds like a tree, and eventually it grows, and eventually it turns into something. So you can't give up. You've got to love the art. You've got to be obsessive about dancing and really not care what happens. You just want to dance, dance, dance. You want to sing, sing, sing. You want to write music, write, write, write. That drives you. Not the thought of, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get that. No, because you don't get that right away. You know, you plant the seed and you develop your art. And if you don't love your art, forget it. You can't go at it like you know, I'm going to be a TikTok star. We don't need
That's what I was just going to say about the social media. Exactly that. They think it's a trend and they just want to do it because everybody else is doing it. But if they don't really, really love it, they're never going to get a career out of it because they're just following everybody else. You got to really love what you do.
You've got to, it's the journey. It's the train ride. There is no station. You arrive at a station and then you miss the next train. I mean, it's just crazy like that. You know, you just got to love your art. Mm-hmm. And you've got to keep evolving. You got to keep moving and changing and feeding yourself with information so that you develop more and more.
Well, I know everybody's waiting for the Mickey subject to come about, and I just want you to explain one more time. I know you've done it 1,000 times of how you came about doing that track. For those who don't know, it was a song called Kitty, but you were smart enough to remake it and put the cheerleader chant part in it, which that's what made it a hit.
It's the hook.
I'll let you go. You tell us.
Yeah, yeah, it is the hook. But you've got to remember, I was working with a European company. They were based out of the UK. Well, the UK, they don't have cheerleaders. So they had no concept of what I was talking about. So I was looking for songs, and I was looking to write a song that had a cheerleader beat to it. And do you remember those in the 60s? There was Shirley Ellis who did Name Game and
Banana,
a lot of those songs.
Yeah.
Yes. And I worked with Allie Willis, who wrote with Earth, Wind, and Fire Boogie Wonderland. I worked with Devo, and I did 3 of Devo's tunes on my first album. And it just, we weren't getting anywhere. So then I thought, well, I'm going to put a real chant, a real cheerleader chant on a song. And that song, we had little cassettes at the time, and I remember it, and I thought it was a little too cute. And then I thought, you know what, cute is a good idea for this cheerleader. And I worked with the Dorsey High cheerleaders, which are the cheerleaders that are the cheerleaders on the song. And I worked with the Carson High cheerleaders, which are the cheerleaders on the Mickey video.
Right.
And I just told the company, because they didn't think it was a good idea. And I just said, well, you know.
The American label or the UK label?
No, this was UK. I had no American deal at the time. I was working all by myself. Nobody was bothering me. They didn't even come from the UK to see what I was doing. I swear to God, they didn't ask for a storyboard. It was fantastic. And I said, look, you want promotional videos to promote this album, which is what they were doing in the UK. They were showing promotional videos. And so I said, well, I'm going to use it as a concept. If you don't like it, pull the chant off of the song if you make it a single, because they had no plans to make that a single. They were going to make the song called Nobody, a single.
Right.
And the A&R guy in the UK, their kids kept playing Mickey. I changed the, Kitty to Mickey over and over again. And the A&R guy kept saying, this is the hit. This is the hit. And then when I was asked to do my BBC special, because two producers from BBC Manchester saw these video promos in a record shop and got in touch with me, they said, do you think you could do a half an hour special? And I said, let me write up a storyboard of a half an hour idea, see if you like it. And bam, I was there. I brought Shabadoo and Spaz Attack because I knew I needed some American stuff. I already knew I was going to do the ballet stuff. Had some of the women from the Royal Ballet as dancers, had a big punk band, and did a show, which was just huge. The special was huge, and Mickey became number 2 in England, first off, and then number 1 in Australia. Richard Branson jumped on to it, became also one of the record label, and then they licensed me to Chrysalis in America, which was by then 1982, which was then the time of the videos. Videos were finally...
Perfect timing.
Because when I was making the videos,
there
was nothing. So I arrived at the right time. 3 years later, ahead of my time, but it came around. And so there you go. So I had videos.
America, they got it. Cheerleading is Americana. It's like all the high school cheerleaders, the girls wanted to be a cheerleader, they were a cheerleader, and all the guys were chasing cheerleaders. So it was so like Americana. It just fit,
Yeah, and all of a sudden the cheerleader championships that were always in existence became on television.
Right, made it popular.
It made it.
So you helped another genre.
American cheerleading, the mounts and all of that stuff that they do, it is an American art form. Created in America like street dance, it's an urban created art form. America kicks butt in art. Trust me. It's as far as dance, there's nothing like it.
Now, changing Kitty to Mickey, obviously the syllables worked for the phrasing, but was there a Mickey? Did you have to just come up with a name, or was there a guy named Mickey that you liked in high school? You just made it up.
No, and I'm sorry I didn't change it to Nikki because, then it starts to get confused. I could have done Nikki. It still would have been a hit.
Right.
And it wouldn't have been confused with Mickey Mouse. It wasn't about Mick Jagger. It wasn't about Mickey Dolenz. There was all sorts of gossip about what it was. I just changed the name so that it would rhyme. Yep. It's just so interesting how things happen. And then, the gossip. Oh, it was about Mick Jagger. Oh, it was about Mickey Dolenz because I had choreographed the film Head. I had worked for the Monkees because the Monkees were a huge television show, as you know. Yeah. So there you go. And then all of a sudden the gossip starts. There was also gossip that because they had never in Europe, they had seen, dancers that were slim and trim. Well, the Carson High cheerleaders, man, the girls on the bottom, they were strong. They were holding up the girls on the top. So there was also all sorts of gossip that they were guys in drag. Social media, kids, as we all know, it just flies around with absolute, a gossip and it grows, and people just make up what they think. They just make up. Oh, it must have been.
They have to have something to talk about,
And a lot of the people think they know what they're talking about, but they don't. Yeah,
it's an iconic song. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame proclaimed Mickey as one of the most groundbreaking singles of the 80s. You can't even have an 80s playlist without Mickey. So
thank you. Well, the Rolling Stones,
you've done culture right.
When Avril Lavigne came out with her song that was very similar, and Taylor Swift did the
Shake It
Rolling
Off.
Stones. Yeah, and what was the hip hop one?
Oh, well, so yeah, remember I said I wanted to ask you this question for years because all my hip hop heads and followers, Tricky by Run DMC. It's tricky to rock a rhyme, that's right on time. It's tricky. It's hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you're so fine. And I was asking you, did they ever give you credit, any royalties? I know you're in litigation with stuff.
No, but Rolling Stone said, who would have thought Toni Basil in the 80s was creating an new American genre? And so every now and then, actually, oh my God, who produced Avril Lavigne? He actually gave me a shout out and said that song was inspired by Toni.
Oh, was that not the Pharrell one?
Yes.
No. Oh, Pharrell. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I have that up on my channel, and I thanked him profusely because seldom does a producer give you credit, say, look, this was our inspiration. I was so grateful for him to do that. It was extremely gentlemanly of him, it shows his character, and it was so much fun for me. And Avril, I think some of her, when she would do her encores, she got up on her drum set and went boom, goo-goom, goo-goom, goom, goo-goom, goo-goom, and chanted, "Oh, Mickey, you're so fine." And there was one show she had a couple of cheerleaders come out, and I was grateful. I loved it because you hear that song, and no matter who's doing it, you do think of the original artist, and it just has kept me so much, as an anthem. That song has just become an anthem. It just doesn't go away.
It won't go away.
And it was just done out of inspiration. It was not, oh, this is going to be a hit and this is going to be that. It was done out of an inspiration. I'd always felt like the stomping and the clapping at Las Vegas High in the basketball court was so, I don't know, it was chilling when we used to do it. And I always thought it was an important idea for a song. And so it was done out of inspiration, not to, oh, this is going to be a number one hit. You can't.
When you try to make a hit, you can't. It's got to come natural. It's just like these people who try to make a viral video. A viral video can't be forced. It has to happen naturally,
Yeah. The record company really thought there was a couple of other songs that went way before it. They never thought. Only the A&R's kids knew it. The kids knew it, but the guys didn't know.
So the 80s was a decade to remember. It's one of my favorite decades as far as the music. It's just the fashion and the music, and that's when things started to merge. You were getting disco with new wave, you were getting rock with pop. It was great.
And VH1 was happening, and then all of a sudden, there was hip hop, and the rappers brought in dancers for those videos, and wow, I mean, what was it? Video killed the radio star. Mm-hmm. It was a big hit on MTV.
So like I said earlier, this week, the week ending December 11th of 1982 is when it went number one. So that's our 39-year anniversary. Next year, of course, it'll be 40. We got to do a big party on the 40th anniversary.
Yep.
I'll DJ the party.
I think that 41 is the year of the documentary.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
I do. I think it's because otherwise we have to wait for 10 more years for 50. And, I don't think I'll look that good on camera by then. So, we have to do it next year.
I want to talk about another icon besides yourself. You had the pleasure of working with Tina Turner. How did that happen? Well,
I got a call in the late 70s. Tina has left Ike. I got a call. Tina has left Ike. She's hiding out. When she comes out of hiding, she'd like you to be her choreographer. Will you, please? Because I had already done Bowie and Bet during the early 70s and the Lockers. And I went, are you kidding? Of course. We all worship Tina Turner. I mean, Bette Midler and I, when we do a show, we always go back to Tina Turner and the Ikettes and watch that for inspiration, it's so yeah, I mean, to have worked with Tina, to work with David Bowie, to have worked with Bette Midler in that time period, was such the next learning journey for me. Yes, I was good for them. We were all a good match together. But what I would learn when the curtain went up on opening night with all these three people, that they went to the next step from the rehearsal. You saw this transformation. And once again, you get this lesson. Every job is a lesson. Every job for me has always been a lesson. I worked for Quentin Tarantino on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
And baby, if you don't think that was a dream job, and also an acid trip because it was about the 60s, and wow.
But you knew that era. You helped
I
him
knew
out
the
tremendously.
era. So I knew I could deliver. I knew it, and he knew too. And I knew I could deliver my stuff. But to be watching Leonardo DiCaprio develop a scene was like going to Juilliard for 4 years. I mean, to be in the room with these people, watching them develop an acting scene. And, because Quentin, he's the writer, the director, the producer, he can change. And he can go, I've got an idea, let's do this, because he's inspired from that. And man, to watch everybody rework and improvise and develop, it was fantastic. It was absolutely a dream job. It was absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I brought that up because What's Love Got to Do with It is one of my top 5 movies. And it's so funny that you were a part that scene when, the fight and she finally leaves him and she's transitioning into her own and she does the Disco Inferno number and that's your choreography. That's an iconic part of the movie to me when the producer sees her as still a valid artist, Yeah.
No, that is my original choreography that I did for her first club act that she performed after she left Ike. And Michael Peters, who was the choreographer of that film, was also the second group of dancers that worked with her. So he knew that choreography. And yeah, I was very proud of that. I was very proud of that. And in Tina's Broadway show, Tina, the female character that plays her choreographer is named Toni.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled with that. I was just thrilled when somebody called me up and said, guess what? So yeah, there you go.
Well, you're lucky that you get to work with all these celebrities and
beyond. Yeah.
What a blessing. And you've helped me out. I don't know if you remember this. I was producing hip hop artists and we were recording in Hollywood and I needed a female vocal. And our mutual friend Hugo, I called him and he said, what about
Mr.
Toni? I said, Toni would be great. And you showed up last minute to the studio, knocked out this vocal. I mean, we paid you cash. You said, thanks, guys. And you really helped me out. And I was wondering if you remember that or not. With so many things you've done, you probably don't.
I do remember that, but I don't. I'm trying to think of
the song.
Yeah.
It was breathe in, breathe out. Take a deep breath, boy. And you did real sexy and sultry.
Oh. Okay.
And you said, do you want it more sexy? And we said, sure. It turned out great.
Okay.
That was on Columbia Records.
That's kind of like a little rap, a little chant.
Yeah,
yes.
It was like a New Jack beat that was happening at the time. It was 1990. That was the year that you showed up.
New Jack Swing era in music.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That was fantastic. And Hugo is still my very good friend.
Talk to him every day.
Yeah, we all talk to him all the time. Yeah. And you were at his wedding and I was at his wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were at his 50th birthday party. Look at that.
Oh, wow. I certainly was. There you go.
Great friend.
I almost wore that hat tonight.
Good thing.
That would have been fabulous.
We got to do a wardrobe check before we do an interview from now on.
Well, no, I recycle my clothes. I tell you, I have every piece of wardrobe I ever wore in every video that didn't fall apart. Yeah, and
And they all
everything.
still fit,
I,
which
I
is awesome.
recycle because what was popular, in the 80s, all of a sudden fashion wise yeah. So, and then you go,
Everything.
God, I wish I still had. Well, guess what? I still have. Well, I didn't get it in the 60s, but the car I drive is a 1965 Mustang. No
Oh, wow.
power steering. It's not a shift, it's an automatic, but yeah. And I'm
That's
so
old school.
glad. Yeah, very old school. But I don't
Let's.
drive far. I drive
I
to the
know.
market.
I know you got tons of interviews, and you've had a busy week. I've been following your other interviews and all the stuff you're doing. Of course, you just came back from Washington D.C. for Bette
Yes, with my
Midler's.
girlfriend Bette Midler,
How was
who
that experience?
I have collaborated with for years. I started working with her in 1975, 76. I think I've choreographed and co-directed with her probably maybe 9 of her tours. I don't think I've counted them out. I did The
Hmm.
Rose, her movie The
Yeah.
Rose.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, of course I went there to be with her for this award that she's one of the greatest living entertainers.
Hmm.
Sings, dances, does comedy, makes you laugh, makes you cry. Um, and she was honored with some great people: Barry Gordy, Motown, Lauren Michaels from Saturday Night Live. And to see her on that balcony waving, and the president just 2 people away with Nancy Pelosi. And I mean, it was just what a night. What a night. It was so exciting. And I came back, and the next day I lectured over at Cal State on dance.
Hmm.
And now I'm promoting the Wham Rebop song.
That's what we
That's
got to get to next.
that's
Glad you brought
that
it up.
yes, that's up on and my t-shirt somewhere. There's another white one is somewhere in the white shot. Um,
I'm going to text you my address because I want one of those. But you know what shirt I really love that you have? The one that says "You blow my mind."
oh,
That
you're
one.
so fun. Yes.
The one that's
Yes.
just with
Where
your
is it?
with your character and it says "You blow my mind." I love that shirt. I'm going to send you
yes.
my address.
Okay, and I'll
But-
get you that. And tell me the size and the color.
Large. I seen a blue one.
No,
in the picture.
you got to text me. You got.
I'll text you all that.
What it
Yeah.
is and your address.
Mhm.
I won't tell anybody.
I would if we would have had more time. I would have said FedEx at me, and I've been wearing it tonight, which would have been awesome.
Yeah,
But
it
that
takes a while.
story-
These take a little. These are stretchy, so they
Yeah,
take
those are
about a
nice.
week to get to you. The other ones take just a couple of days.
That
Yeah.
Wham Rebop song. Now that was a famous song from the 30s. That call and
38,
response, and you
1938.
performed it
yes.
tons of times, Saturday Night Live, and then you performed it on a Jerry Lewis telethon, and later found out that they were releasing these videos, and you got a clean audio. And for
I
you
didn't
guys,
take the audio. I didn't take the audio from the Jerry Lewis telethon.
No,
I
from me.
saw this performance, and I went, "Oh my God, I forgot I did this performance." I did perform the song on Saturday Night Live, but NBC does not let you post anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a performance that was lost. Evening gown, heels, piano. People are used to seeing me in a cheerleader outfit or hip hop clothes. And so I sent it over to Kenny Ortega. I said, "Look what I found." And he said, "Oh, people have got to see this." So he sent it to Bette. Bette posted it on her Instagram. She's got over 90,000 views. And I thought, maybe I should do something more with this. And so my orchestra leader, that was my orchestra leader through that time period, Dave Storrs, he called me up. He said, "Look, Jerry Weintraub was your manager at that time, and he used to record everything. And you've done that song over and over and over again. I bet we can find a good, clean recording of it." And we did. We put it up on CD Baby. Then Dave's friend, Michael Muffin, who's a really, really great art director and videographer, he said, "Let's do some t-shirts." So I had this picture from pictures that were taken in 1974 when I was doing the David Bowie Diamond Dogs tour.
Mhm.
And I got to be on the cover of After Dark for being his co-director. We called Eric Stephen Jacobs, who I said, "Can we use one of those pictures?" He said, "Yeah." So all of a sudden we've got t-shirts, and then a magazine called Charleston Magazine they published a recipe that a club called Low Life Bar in South Carolina made a Toni Basil cocktail. And I got a call from St. George's Spirits out here, the head, what do they call it? The head distiller, Dave Driscoll. No, David Smith. And then it was David Driscoll that connected us. They said, you want to do a cocktail? You want to run with this cocktail idea? I said, okay. I didn't realize that people making cocktails online was like a big thing all of a sudden. Yes, Jerry Casali from Devo, he's got 2 wines called 50 by 50. He's got a vineyard. I mean, all the guys from Saturday Night Live have vineyards. You know, I mean, people are really, that's really very popular. So I said, okay, so they're gonna teach me how to make a Wham Rebop cocktail. When is it, Kelly? It's
Friday the 17th.
Oh, thank you.
Is it going to be on your Instagram channel or is it going to be on theirs?
It's going to be on. We're going to make the cocktail on mine.
Great.
With Dave, Dave Driscoll and Dave Smith, and then it's going to be up on St. George's Spirits after that.
Right.
It's going to sit there. It's going to sit on mine, and we're going to make this Wham Rebop cocktail. I just talked to him. I said, can't we make a mock cocktail also for all the street dancers that don't drink? Because it's quite delicious. It looks like it's quite delicious with maple syrup and all sorts of wonderful, fun things in it. And so he said, okay, we're going to make a mock. So we're going to make a mock cocktail, and it's going to be with bourbon, but also they're going to be able to make it with gin. I don't know how these things work, but I guess people reinvent the cocktails. Somebody makes a cocktail, then they reinvent, like an alchemist, another kind of idea on it. And
well, you know that you made it when they make a drink after you. You know what I'm saying? All the other things you've done are nothing. Now you've got a cocktail.
No, I got to tell you, I was blown away when Jeopardy did have that
subject, yeah.
The subject, oh Mickey, and I held my breath.
They better get it right.
The question was the guy gonna be able to answer the $1,000 or $2,000 question at the bottom, and he did. I went, oh, okay. And Paul Rubin, Pee Wee Herman, who was in New York. You know, New York gets the show before we get the show in L.A. And he called me. He said, "Oh my God. You know, Mickey is a subject on Jeopardy, Toni." And I went, "You're kidding." So, yeah.
That's another, you made it when you're a answer
but I
on
still
Jeopardy.
Don't, you know what? I'm a dancer. Dance is my drug. And just psychologically, I am that dancer hauling around the dance bag, either to a class or to a workshop, or hauling around, to Hip Hop International if I have to do a judge's demo, or just to a club, 3 pair of shoes, because you don't know what the floor is going to be like, and you can break your neck if you've got a sticky shoe on a sticky floor. I still lug around my dance shoes. So I'm a dancer. I'm a dancer. I'm a performer like my parents. But I've got that dancer mentality. Singers, you can give them a sheet music. They can learn the song as they're lying in bed. Actors, they can, but you got to get out there and dance if you're going to dance. You got to lug those shoes. So thank you so much. There's the Wham Rebop. So the top artwork is to the song on all streaming platforms. Then you can go to Toni Basil merch on my tonibasil.net. And we're going to do the cocktail now. So
that's why I wanted to let everybody know that
all of a sudden
I bought the song today on iTunes.
You did?
Yes.
How did it sound?
I love it.
Did it sound
This is
good?
great. It's perfect.
And how good is the? If you can go to my channel, you'll see we just put up one of the advertisements, and we have Nick Williams and Nikki.
Well, let's go ahead and
swing dancing.
let's let that play real quick.
Do you have
see
that? Yes.
And now, before I go, there's a little something I would like to do. 6, 7, 8.
When we bop, boom, bam, I can swing and I can jam. When we bop, boom, bam, I'm a killadilla, yes I am. When we bop, boom, bam, trumpet, trumpet, right it through. When we bop, boom, bam, jam it, jump it, jab it through. Some folks say swing won't stay and it's dying out, but I can't prove that it's in the groove and I don't know what they're talking about. When we bop, boom, bam, I can swing and I can jam. When we bop, boom, bam, I'm a killadilla, I'm a killadilla, I'm a killadilla, yes I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to go get the
All of a
ingredients.
sudden-
Everybody get the ingredients this week, and we're going to watch her make the drink Friday the 17th on her Instagram. We're going to listen to the song, or we're going to make the cocktail, and we're going to get drunk next Friday night.
Well, I because those drinks are really sneaky because you just it just tastes like dessert. It's these crazy things like, gee, I haven't had a mixed drinks like that since when? Since the '60s when they were
The
margaritas.
martinis. Oh, margaritas. Woo.
At those bar, at the Mexican restaurants, those great margaritas that snuck up on you. I just can't thank you enough. This has been, well, who haven't we mentioned? What haven't we done?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
I've got tons of notes, but I'm trying to.
Yeah. Also David Byrne, Talking
Yes,
Head. Now he is on Broadway.
Now, you were working with him before you did Mickey, correct?
I met him and Brian Eno at the same time I was working. And he was around me when I was developing the videos. And he asked me if I would do a video with him for the Talking Heads, which was Once in a Lifetime.
Love that song.
And we did that together. And that has become an iconic video also.
Yeah.
So, and now he's starring on Broadway. How about that? How about the fact that 1978, 79, I was doing that Jerry Lewis telethon, and all of a sudden where are we? 2021? We've got a drink. I mean, you plant the seed, but that seed took a long time to grow, didn't it? I mean, that was long in development.
Well, I can't thank you enough. I mean,
I thank you.
You are a wonderful friend. You're a great talent. You're a great inspiration. Dancers love you. The acting community knows you. Our mutual friends, Pop and Pete lives here in Vegas. I talk to him once in a while. Rest in peace, Skeeter Rabbit used to live here, a friend of mine.
My close friend.
We lost another. Last year we lost Don Campbell Locke, and I knew all those guys hanging out with you and Shabba
this year. Yeah.
But the community that we have, or especially you have, the dance community is so tightly knit, and they understand. Yeah, they understand what you've done for the community and for the culture. So,
but what is the community has done for me? We've all done for each other. It's through improvisation and watching, Pete dance or hey, you've got some great dancers in Vegas. You got Joe Styles out there. You got Jay Boogie out there.
Yeah.
You've got heavy duty dancers out there. And I mean, I watch their ideas and you get inspired. So we all inspire each other. There's nothing, our street dance community is built on improvisation. It's totally, so it constantly is flowering. It's constantly creating. And that's what it's all about, and being obsessed with dance.
Hugo came to town a couple of weeks ago with his lovely wife, and I bought them tickets. He didn't see the MJ1 show. So I bought them tickets, and we all went to the show. That was a couple of weeks ago, and he liked it. And he knows some of the dancers that were on stage, and we chit-chatted and stuff. But what's funny is all the street dance shows, the Jabberwockies, all the street dance stuff is taking over the stages. It's not the Sinatra, and it's all like street level stuff now. And all the residencies. It's crazy in Vegas.
It's the mainstream. Mm-hmm. It's moved into the main. So has people like J-Lo and and I mean, just think that Michael's stuff is in Vegas. I mean, what years ago, that just you would have never dreamed that music would be permeating the Strip.
Yeah.
You know, Elvis was maybe the only one that, you know, would perform at the Sahara. You know, got Elvis at the Hilton. But
Hilton, or it was called the International before it was called the Hilton. Remember that?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And it was the first hotel that was off the Strip.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when next time you come to Vegas, I hope we can touch base and hang out.
Oh, we
I'll
will.
get you a basil infused cocktail.
Okay.
Maybe it'll be all over the bars by then.
Well, you never know.
But I want to remind everybody to check out tonibasil.net for the merchandise. Check out Toni Basil House. Her YouTube channel is like a hall of fame of nostalgic video and the highlights of her career. I mean, we've scratched the surface of Toni Basil's career. So check out tonibasil.net. Check out Toni Basil House, the YouTube channel. Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here?
No, you know, Beth's show, the Kennedy Center Awards, will be on December 22nd. I did not choreograph it. I got to sit back and watch it. And because they have
But she wanted you there, which was very nice of
Oh,
her.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It was such a pleasure to be with her, to be sitting with her. So I'm going to plug that because a lot of, you know, the videos of her, the montages in the show, so much is my stuff. You know, it was an extraordinary evening for me. I can't imagine what it was like for her. I know she was over the top. The
Do you think
family
she'll come
there.
back to Vegas and do a residency?
Well,
do you think?
you know,
Maybe.
I don't, she's doing Hocus Pocus now. So after Hocus Pocus, then, you know, I'll never do that again. I'll never do this again. You know how many times she said, I'm never going to do another tour?
Never say never.
You know, it's like Tina. It's like Cher. Cher every tour Cher does is her finale.
Farewell tour. Yeah.
Her world tour. So you just, yes, everybody reinvents themselves. You know, and who knows, maybe it'll be like Dylan just did, was that whole online streaming of a whole 2 hours of his music. Did you see that? Did
No.
you get to?
No.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Was that because of the pandemic and nobody could perform? So they would see
he
everybody
did-
pivots and they do
instead of
something else. Yeah.
Instead of going on tour, he did that, and it was absolutely spectacular. It was
I know.
like a setting in a 40s club. Oh, it was fabulous. Just
I know
fabulous.
he's your crush of your
Oh, he's
lifetime.
my big crush since the 60s. Since the 60s, Bob Dylan. The only person I would listen to the lyrics. Otherwise, I was just dancing to the twist, you know. But yeah, Bob Dylan, I would stop and listen to. Well, he's what did he win? Not the Pulitzer Prize, the poetry. I mean, he's iconic.
Yeah.
What can I say? Maybe
So
the
are you.
greatest songwriter ever. You know,
Yeah.
that's just absolutely spectacular.
Did you ever get to work with him?
No, I
on
almost
professional-
did.
Oh.
We've had a couple of meetings about a couple of different projects, and then he ends up not using a choreographer because his stuff isn't so much about dance. And actually, they got in touch with me about possibly working with him on this last live streaming thing, but he ended up not using a choreographer. Just that my name came out of Bob Dylan's mouth. Hey, get Toni's number just in case we need her. Was like, that'll hold me over for a couple of years, you know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm happy about that. Yeah. Poet laureate.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
Well, I'm going to say it one more time. I thank you for taking the time
Thank
out
you.
to do my little show here. You're moving on to bigger and better things. It seems like as soon as one thing goes this way, you got something going on this way. You're
Just don't know. You
Never
just
know.
have to keep moving forward. You don't know.
So once again, guys, go check out tonibasil.net. Get some of those shirts before they run out.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, check out the song. It's just, you know, it's a whole different slice of me.
Wham Rebop on iTunes and other platforms.
You have to send me a link to the song that we did together.
Oh, yeah.
So
I have a
can
piece
post
of it here. I will only play a piece because you're going to trip out. Let me turn it down for a second because I don't want it to get flagged. I'm just going to show your part. Watch. Listen to your voice.
Flag.
Breathe in, breathe out. Take a deep breath, boy. Breathe in, breathe out.
I remember it.
Breath, boy. Breathe in, breathe out. Take a deep breath, boy. Breathe in, breathe out. Take a deep breath, boy.
Yeah, you've got to send me that. I
Yeah.
just remembered that I sang a song for I did a bunch of horror films, and there was Rockula and Slaughterhouse Rock, and
Yep.
Slaughterhouse Rock I sang the theme song to it, and it's totally heavy metal. You wouldn't believe it was me, and we've got to get that song up on my YouTube channel. It's another slice of me, like, who is that? So there you go. Devo produced it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's Devo production. Okay, great.
You're awesome. Thank you.
You're awesome too. Thank you so
1,000
much.
times.
And of course,
I'm-
you're a Vegas guy. You're a Vegas guy. You know.
Vegas. I try to represent Vegas. I put people who have, Gerardo Rico Suave lived here. I did his interview. I produced and co-produced stuff for a guy named Dino who had the song Summer Girls, and I like
know
it.
who that is.
He lived in
Absolutely.
Vegas, yeah. And I did Michael Cooper of Confunction, the funk group Confunction.
Sure.
I had him on the show, and I'm just trying to do people that have some base in Vegas. And
Isn't Dino a dancer also?
no, funny enough, I was his dancer. We went on tour together, and we toured with New Kids on the Block. He was a radio DJ. That's how we met each other in the mid 80s. But that's what the show's about, entertainers, people who have a little foundation in Vegas. So I'm so happy that you said yes to this. I know our mutual friend kind of talked you into it. But
Love Vegas.
I'm
Love
representing Vegas.
High school.
You come back to Vegas, and that's great that you came back on the 50-year reunion and took a picture with the cheerleaders. They probably thought that was awesome.
Absolutely.
So there it is. Another episode is in the book. DJ R.O.B. presents Taking It Back with the phenomenal, incomparable, talented, beautiful, ageless Toni Basil.
Thank you.
Say bye to everyone in Vegas.
Bye. Well, never goodbye. I'll see you soon.
Next time. We'll probably have to have a part 2 because, like I said, we didn't touch nothing. But maybe a part 2.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon. Thank you, Kelly. Tell Kelly I said thank you for all her help.
She's right here, crawling all around, trying to.
You're awesome.
Trying to put stuff together. Thank you so much.
You had a busy day, so thank you so much. See you guys next time.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.